So when we look into this Western Conference, I really do think this is a year where we're going to get that parity that everyone's been looking for. But the guys at the top are pretty set. I feel like most of these teams even got, I would argue, a little bit better this offseason. So you have your locks, then you have the teams that, just don't F it up. Just don't F it up, and then they should be in the mix for like a top 6, 7, 8 seed. But we'll talk about them in a second. We'll talk about who I believe the sleepers are this year, and then the teams that just kind of got to know your assignment, right? So first off, your lock. First off, OKC probably won the offseason. They got better. Dallas, I like the moves that they made. They lost a couple of pieces. They brought in a couple of pieces, right? In terms of like the fringe rotation type, your fifth, sixth guy. So they might have gotten better even from last year. So we'll see how that goes. Minnesota, I like Anthony Edwards being on Team USA. I love kind of like I've always liked that young player on Team USA who has a run and then comes in the next NBA season and just kind of takes another leap. I would say that's Anthony Edwards coming up, like the audition of Rob Dillingham as well. Boyan Bogdan, no, the guy, I'm blanking on the name, the guy from Australia. They've got another couple pieces there. Their sixth, seventh, eighth guy as well. They're looking to improve there. Now the Denver Nuggets, who knows, man? Who knows if like Russell Westbrook on this team is just gonna like work, like it's just gonna turn that car on again? Because I would say that they've slipped a little bit by losing some of their main pieces. Right? They've lost KCP this offseason. They lost Bruce Brown 2 years ago. And I feel like if they can figure that out and get their young players to step up a little bit, because they haven't really been making any additions, it's just that you still have your core there, your Jokic, Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and then it's just kind of like who that fifth, sixth, seventh guy is. And I think they're working on it. So I would still say that they're going to win a crap ton of games this year. Now, don't F it up, Sacramento. Like DeMar DeRozan and De'Aaron Fox is a clutch dream, right? As long as you're in these games, which you should be throughout the regular season, you should be getting blown out that much throughout the regular season. I can see Sacramento even being like a top 3 seed, maybe even winning the Western Conference for 2 or 3 weeks at a time throughout the first half of the season, just winning all these games. Now, it's up to them to finally make it their year to get in. I think DeMar DeRozan wants it. I think he's hungry. I think everyone else is hungry as well. And I think it's a great fit for everyone involved. So I'm looking forward to see what Sacramento does throughout the regular season. Don't F it up, Ja Morant. Just be smart. Just be smart. Everyone wants to see you play. Everyone wants to see how good the Grizzlies can be. So don't F it up. Get Zach Edey involved. That put Jaren Jackson in his rightful position as well, fit wise with that starting unit. So we'll see. Don't F it up. Houston, as long as they don't have like some inner turmoil where now that the young guys are probably the best guys on the squad, like Coach Udoka's got to be okay with that and figure out a way to maximize that and not rely so much on his veterans, because guys like Alfred Şengün, um, uh, uh, Green, Jalen Green, and Smith, like those guys need the ball. Like those guys need to grow up and take that next step. And I feel like why not this year? Obviously, with the Phoenix Suns, I'm a believer in Mike Budenholzer, and I'm always going to be cheering for Mike Budenholzer no matter where he's at. So I think he's that good of a coach, and I think obviously the talent is here. So as long as Coach Bud can kind of cook something up, look for Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal to actually work next season. And if they do, they can be a top 4, top 5 seed, I believe, in the Western Conference. Then you have the New Orleans Pelicans, who are kind of like, I almost wanted to put them in the sleeper category, but I feel like they're moving the right pieces around in that organization right now. They got rid of a couple guys. They're still trying to move Ingram. They brought in Murray. I feel like Murray's going to kind of ground a couple of these young players like Herb Jones and those guys. And I feel like defensively they should be pretty good. And maybe this is Zion's year. We've all been waiting on it for about 4 or 5 years already. So we want to see Zion have a good season, and health is one of those main things for them as well. So I actually feel like New Orleans, if they put it together, they can make a jump to be a 6, 7, 8 seed lock. You know what I mean? Like where they can maybe even keep themselves out of the play-in territory even. But they got to win games, and DeJounte should help with that as well. Now, so this is what looks different. These two tiers, right? Like, wait a minute, there's no LeBron. Wait a minute, what about Wemby? Wait a minute, you haven't even talked about Curry yet, and he's doing awesome right now in the Team USA exhibition games. And what about Kawhi? Well, y'all know about Kawhi. Kawhi, you just can't trust the health. I don't think that they've gotten all that much better in terms of like assembling some type of championship roster. I think they've gotten good players in to kind of maybe sub in for Kawhi, sub in for Paul George now that he's gone. Like, there's these fringe type guys, like 8, 9 best player guys on your roster. And so I don't really feel like it's the Clippers' year, which is unfortunate because they're going to be playing in that awesome arena. But hey, Kawhi comes out, has an MVP season, you know that they're something to be messed with. But if he doesn't, you know what happens there also. Curry, I think they got better also on the fringes, but Curry needs a second guy. I mean, everyone needs a second guy, right? So, Kawhi doesn't have that second guy unless it's James Harden, but we all know that's unreliable long term. So who's there for Curry? Wiggins, Draymond Green, Buddy Hield, like Kyle Anderson. Like, I love those guys, but I mean, dude, like Curry goes down, Kawhi goes down, it's over, right? Now, the Spurs need to stay healthy as well, and we're looking more of like, hey, man, if the Spurs can be in the play-in mix, that's a huge improvement and looking like a win for the Spurs season, right? So they're your sleeper team in terms of like if health works out for them and Chris Paul is able to play most of his games, Wimby stays healthy, Devin stays healthy, Harrison Barnes stays healthy, and then we'll see. They may win 40 games. You never know. The Lakers, I'm willing to give JJ a chance with this group. I think they've made a couple of moves here. I think stylistically, LeBron and AD can work. We just haven't been able to see it kind of work all that well, except for the bubble. So sleeper, you never know. Maybe LeBron comes out and has a great season playing next to, or seeing that his son is there, maybe on the bench. And I want to see AD have another good year like he did last year. Know your assignment, Utah Jazz. Obviously, they're working on a Lauri Markkanen trade. That's one of the main other pieces that is still kind of lingering out there this offseason, and probably nothing will happen until the extension date comes, and either he signs an extension, so he's tradable now with the extension, or they wait until maybe later on in the season to trade him before the trade deadline, so he doesn't just walk in free agency. But Lauri Markkanen from the Utah Jazz, I like the fit with San Antonio. Really not willing to give up much in terms of player personnel. I would give up picks for him, but I don't live in that world. Whoever's in that office with Brian Wright, R.C. Buford, Coach Pop talking about trade scenarios for Lauri Markkanen, I would love to be a fly on that wall too, because it makes sense. It makes you a playoff team, but is that something you do to speed up a process? Because the Spurs don't do that. They don't put that gas pedal down, like we said. And know your assignment, Portland. Try to get another couple of good draft picks over the next couple of years, and then you should be good. So that's the Western Conference, that's the power rankings, and that's kind of where I see these teams kind of falling to. I think